let's talk about the McLaren drivers then, because as much as I've just waxed lyrical about Max, and sorry for any non-Max fans out there, uh, the two McLaren drivers are the main protagonists in the title fight. Because if we're being a little bit more realistic, it is between those two, and Oscar is leading the championship, but Lando is the informed McLaren driver. So, Louis, this title fight rolls on once again. Is there any possibility of Oscar sort of picking up his form a bit? Because we haven't seen him on the Grand Prix podium, I think, since Zandvoort, where he won. Because because obviously there was the team orders in Mexico, and then obviously Singapore and blah blah blah, all the rest of everything that we're not going to recap of everything that's happened since then. Sorry, Monza, he was P3. You're correct, Jared, my bad. Yeah, so I haven't seen him on the podium since Monza. Oh, yes, because of the whole P2, P3 thing. Do you think he can potentially pick it up this weekend? Because I was kind of hoping that he was going to do that in Kota, and then he had a bit of a howler, to be honest. The race was a decent sort of damage limitation job, but the sprint, the less said, the better. Do you think there's any possibility of him sort of maybe extending that gap over his teammate, or do you think Lando's going to slowly take a few more points out of Oscar on Sunday?
Well, we were all thinking that Oscar would be arriving in Kota with the bit between his teeth, really eager to claw something back after what happened in Singapore, after the incident in Singapore, and that more or less just didn't happen. And Lando kind of had his number for the whole weekend. And we're talking about a lad who's very young. He's only in his third season of Formula One now, and he's in this huge title fight. It's a lot, and it is a lot to ask for any driver. Lando's, if we're being nitpicky, Lando's kind of in his second championship fight. I mean, last year was a bit of it was a mess. It was a championship fight on paper, but given how Lando drove at times last season, you wouldn't think he was in a title fight. But something needs to happen for Oscar. He needs to really pick it up and put some points on Lando. We haven't really seen him do that since Zandvoort, because Lando had retired, and Lando's more or less been the better driver in terms of point scoring and just general performance since, I would say, around Austria, maybe, in terms of just cutting down that points, trying to score as consistently as possible. He has been the better driver, and for Lando, he knows that while Max is winning right now, he's still very much the outsider, and all that he really needs to focus on is, he might lose out to Max, but finishing P2 to Max isn't the end of the world as long as he's beating Oscar when he's having these weekends like he did in Kota. It's a hard one to call, because from one race to another, so much can change. Like who I was saying earlier with Max, all it takes is one retirement from, say, Oscar, and that 14 point is gone, because Lando's probably going to be near the front. And then that allows Max into the fight a whole, cascading series of events can happen if Oscar screws up one time. So he really needs to get on the front foot, start getting these wins, start getting some pole positions and really challenging, because that's how he's going to secure this championship. It's going to be that consistency. It's going to be that thing that you need to win a world championship. It's that level-headedness. It's that consistency. It's that drive to just go every weekend, I've got to win. I've got to win. I've got to win. And that's how you win championships. We've seen it before, and we've seen it lost because drivers have fallen off towards the end and just allowed the other driver to take control.
I'm not entirely sure I agree that Lando's been a slightly more informed driver since Austria, because Oscar did have two pretty good, obviously two pretty good wins in there with Belgium and Zandvoort and all the rest of it. But yes, at this point, sort of like you said, they are basically just taking points out of each other. So it's looking pretty interesting to say the least.